Alright, you guys, we're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to be recording this, so if you miss anything, it'll be on YouTube later tonight. I'll send out the link to the video. I'm hoping it picks up audio. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't recorded I haven't recorded with camera before. I always just do screen captures with a headset. So we'll see how this works. It's picking up something, so that's good. So today is the review for the exam, which is going to be in 1 week from today. It'll be during your normal class time in Woodward Lecture Hall as usual. It'll be on chapters 2, 3, and 4 of the MATLAB book. So if after this you're still like, I don't know what I'm doing, MATLAB chapters 2, 3, and 4 are the good places to go and look at. So mostly, I'm kind of curious about what you guys need help on, because this is a lot to review. And I don't want to cover something if everybody here is good at it, you know? I have this room until 6. I don't want to be here till 6. I was here till 11 last night, so I'm tired and I want to go home too. But we'll take care of what we got to take care of, and we'll see where we're at, all right? So does anybody have any opening questions about stuff that you don't understand? Is there a topic or topics that you don't understand? And we can just write this up on the side and we'll just go through them. Yes?
Mesh grid.
Mesh grid, okay, yeah, that's a pretty common one. What else, you guys?
Can you go over doing the random numbers, in intervals again?
Can you also go over indexing, within specific rows and specific columns, or pulling out whole rows or pulling out whole columns?
All right, what else?
Oh, how to add and take out rows to a matrix?
Yeah, and we'll do that with indexing. So. All right, anything else? Yes.
F print F.
F print F. Hey, you guys have covered that?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't covered that in lab once. That's awkward. Yeah, I'll have to take a quick look at that, but we'll talk about F print F. What else, you guys? This is
Start there and see what happens.
What's up?
Oh, define, value.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This isn't going to be on your exam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It wasn't on the last semester's one, at least. So if you're curious about what you're going to see and what you're not going to see on the exam, I guess actually first off, we'll also start off talking about format of exam. Any other issues that you guys are I definitely don't know this? I'm sorry? Loop? That's not going to be on your first exam for sure. I can promise that.
Location.
Location? Oh, val, comma, lock?
Yeah,
finding
those
okay.
lock and all.
So max and min stuff?
When to use the dot operator and not use the dot operator?
All right, yeah. Anything else? Yeah? All right, so let's start here. If questions arise, please feel free to stop me at any time. Speak up so the people on here can hear you, whoever's going to watch it in the future. But yeah, this is a pretty comprehensive thing to start off with. So, all right, so the format of the exam is pretty different. It's kind of like your quizzes, but it's also not like your quizzes. The questions are going to be worded the same way for the most part, but the way you respond is entirely different. Your exam is all short answer. There's not going to be any multiple choice responses at all. So, and there are 3 programs that you have to write at the end of it, like you would at the end of a quiz, worth about 25% of the exam. Usually one's worth 8, 9, and 10, or 8, 9, and 9. Some kind of breakdown above that. So that's what you're looking at. On a lot of questions, they're worth 2 points. And that's because, this right here is worth 2 points. If this is your answer, this answer is worth 2 points. And the reason behind that is A, you got to get the right value on the side of this, right? And then that second reason is you got to get the right variable. So If you're going to be working with x equals 4, but you just write 4, then, well, you're only going to get 1 point for that because the variable matters. If you're asked what prints out in the command window and you write 4 when it's x equals 4 or when it's ans equals 4, this is only 1 point when you could have gotten 2. Now, on the other side of that, if you're like, I don't know what the hell is going to print out here, but I know what variable it belongs to, there's 1 point, right? You can play this game both ways, you guys. So if you don't know what that answer is going to be, you don't know what that matrix looks like, but you know what value that matrix is assigned to, you're set. You got 1 point there. Take advantage of that, okay? I don't want to be giving out any 0 points on questions like these. There are some questions where like it won't print out anything, it'll just print out like an error. You know, no value assigned to this, it's all or nothing on this one right here. If there's going to be an error, which there usually isn't too many of them. So if you're like, oh, this entire page is errors, no, it's not. All right, it's not all errors, I promise. Any questions about this? Okay, because if you don't get it this exam, you'll get it the second exam. And the final exam's take home, so you won't even have to trip on that then. Let's go ahead and drop this out.
If it's an error, you just write error. It doesn't matter like what line or anything like that.
Yeah,
I'm not over.
correct. Because usually the error won't be with a particular line, it'll be with the code overall as a whole. Okay? So let's see. So there's format. Mesh grid. So somebody tell me what mesh grid does. Yeah, eventually. Something a little more general than that, you guys.
Makes rows and columns, generates rows and columns.
Yeah, right. So mesh grid essentially takes two matrices that aren't the same size fundamentally. So i.e. their rows and columns don't match, whether you look at their interior dimensions or exterior dimensions. In no way are these two matrices the same size. You can have a 4x2 and a 3x3 matrix, for instance. So let's take that, right? So let's say I have A is going to be a 4x2 matrix and B is going to be a 3x3 matrix, right? We can't do math with this at all. We're not going to be able to multiply whether we use a dot operator or not. We definitely can't add these and we definitely can't divide these. So we're kind of up creek without a paddle when we have something like this, right? So that's where mesh grid comes into play, right? So somebody tell me, what's the format for mesh grid? If I wanted to make two matrices of the same size, what would I write? Oh, okay, let's give syntax too, right? So syntax is very, very important. So brackets, new A, okay. All right. Really? There we go. Yeah. Equals. Now what?
Then you put mesh grid.
Okay, in parentheses. Then what?
A and B, comma.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. What's the size of this mesh grid matrix going to be, you guys?
9,
No.
No,
36.
8 by 9.
It's a 9x8.
Yeah, you're right. It's going to be a 9x8 matrix. Some of you guys are like, how the hell, right? I bet a lot of the other TAs haven't talked about this yet. I've pounded this into my section's heads. You're going to multiply your dimensions together, right? And the dimensions of your second matrix become your rows, and the dimensions of your first matrix become your columns. I don't know, this was on my exam, but I haven't seen it on any exam since. So I don't know if it'll be on yours. But I always cover this because it's important to know what kind of data you're going to be getting out if you're manipulating data, right? Fundamentally, that's the important factor. And so, yeah, we're going to get two matrices, one new A and one called new B, both 9x8, right? So now, when it says we want all possible combinations, that's where that comes in, right? Then you'll do new A times, with the dot operator out front, new B. This right here is going to give you all possible combinations, okay? So the new A times new B is going to give you those all possible combinations. And then the mesh grid allows you to get those matrices set up so you can then find those combinations. Do we have any questions about that? 100%, yeah. Is that it? Yeah. Is that better? Okay. Yes.
Why wouldn't the 8 go first when it creates a 9 by 8? Like, cause isn't
That's just a syntax. I 100% don't have an answer for that. That's what MATLAB does. Why? I'm not sure.
cause like the next one where you put new A, like A goes first, so I would assume it would be A and B.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand like the logic behind that, but for some reason that's just what MATLAB ends up doing. Tested that out, and I don't know another way around it. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. Then I guess we're good on mesh grid.
You can put any equation, like in place of the new A times new B, put any equation in there, right?
Yeah, you don't have to call this new A or new B. Like I could call this like taco and this Tuesday.
Well, not those I'm talking about. Like instead of just multiplying and finding all possible outcomes, you like put in a.
Well, if you're trying to find all possible combinations, you wouldn't do anything other than multiply, right? Now, if you say, I want to divide new A and new B, or I want to divide these matrices, but they're not the same size, then you would do mesh grid, and then you would have a division sign here instead of a multiplication sign, right?
Yeah.
But apart from that, if you're trying to find all possible combos, you're always going to multiply.
Okay.
Okay? Any other questions?
There won't be anything involving three matrices in mesh grid, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No. Not in regards to this class.
Okay.
All right, so that drops mesh grid off of our list. Let's talk about the random function. So somebody tell me what the random function does.
Random function generates a number of random values.
Okay, yeah, we're going to get random numbers between what and what?
0 and 1.
Not inclusive.
Yeah, correct. So our values will be from 0 to 1. All right. And then how do I change how many values I'm going to get?
You multiply.
Change how many values, not the range of the values.
Oh, in the parentheses you put.
Yeah, right? So if I have this, how many values am I going to get? If I have random 2? 4. Why 4? Correct, right? So this number right here generates a square matrix of this size. So if I have 2 here, I'm going to get 2 rows and 2 columns, 2 by 2 matrix, which has 4 values. If I have a 10 here, I'm going to get a 10 by 10 matrix, right? 100 values. And they're all from 0 to 1. Let's say I wanted to take this 10 by 10 matrix, and I didn't want values from 0 to 1. I wanted values from 0 to 5. What would I do?
You could times it by 5.
Right? You would multiply it by 5. So the way that works, right? So MATLAB default has this range from 0 to 1. So if I multiply this by 5, this is really going to become 0 to 5. Right? You just distribute this 5 into it. Okay? Now, what if I wanted to like, let's just do this. So let's say I have 5 times rand 4 minus 3. What are my values going to be now?
So you're 2 to negative.
Is it going to be negative? Negative 3
Yeah.
to 2.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's what we're looking at. So the answer is negative 3 to 2. And the reasoning behind that, right? So let's walk through this step by step. So this is what we have initially, right? This is what the random function is going to give us, 0 to 1, right? Now, first we're going to multiply this by 5, PEMDAS. So now this changes our values like we saw over here, 0 to 5. And now we want to make a difference of 3 in all of these values. So if we're going to drop all of these values by 3, we're going to drop our 0 starting point by 3, which takes it to negative 3. and we're going to drop our endpoint by 3, which takes it to 2. So now I'm going to get a 4 by 4 matrix of values ranging from -3 to +2. Okay? Does that make sense? I mean, if you have your laptops, I'm sure you can plug and chug this out right now and find that. Are we good on that? Do we have any questions about the rand function?
How do you increase the never mind, sorry.
What's up?
No, I realized I'm asking a stupid question.
No, what's up?
I answered my own question.
All right. As long as you did that. I just don't want you to feel like it's a stupid question. Any other questions?
So just the first number is the range, and then the second number would be the number you start.
I wouldn't say that because I can put. Or I can even just do this, right? Like I can put these numbers wherever I want, right? I can put a -3 over here and ×5 over here, and suddenly my first number isn't my range and my second number isn't where I start at, right? It's all about really just doing the math behind it. And that's why I wrote it out like this, right? Because we know that definitively it's going to start from 0 to 1. And if we multiply, now it's going to be 0 to 5 or 0 to n, right? And then we know that if we change it by some distance, some delta x, like if you put this on a number line, you move the box over, right? Now we're looking at a different set of values. So it's just thinking about it logically and looking about how this math is going to change the numbers that you're working with, okay? So, yes?
Can we divide?
That's a good question. I've never done it, but I don't see why you can't, right? If you divide, so if I wanted to do,
Just make the range smaller, don't you?
yeah, right. So if I did this, let's go over here.
Like divide by half.
So if I had rand of 2 and I divided, yeah, let's divide by 2.
Yeah, it's the same as multiplying by 0.5.
Yeah, right. So what we're going to do now is instead of having numbers from 0 to 1, we'll have numbers from 0 to 1/2.
Right.
Yes?
Why do we have to put the period in that case?
This is a matrix, right? So we have to put a dot operator here, and that was my fault because I should have put one here as well.
Okay.
Actually, no, we don't. We don't need a dot operator, right? So we'll talk about this.
Because that's a function.
But this is a scalar.
Okay.
So we're dividing by a scalar, so we won't need a dot operator. Now, on the other hand, if I did 2 divided by random 2, now I'm going to need a dot operator right here. But yeah, no dot operator for the top case, and we'll get into that shortly. Any other questions about the rand function? We're good? Yeah, okay. We'll move on. If you do have any questions, stop me at any time, and we can always jump back real quick. All right, so we'll drop that off of our list. Next up is Linspace. So Linspace is a handy thing. Its name pretty much gives it away. So we'll talk about this and the colon operator at the same time. All right, so somebody tell me what Linspace does.
It just creates values that are linearly spaced between the parameters that you set.
Yeah, pretty much. So what's my syntax for Linspace then?
So Linspace, the first value is where you start,
Yeah, so let's say we're going to start at 2,
and then the second value is
where we end.
where you end.
It's where we end, right? So let's say our final value is 100. What's this?
Okay.
What's this last value here?
I'm gonna what you want to
Space it out by, so by 50.
Right.
Right? So, he's right. What this does, as I said, it's aptly named, right? It linearly spaces values. So Linspace. The name's intuitive. So this right here is going to be your starting value. So I'll just call this x naught. This right here is your final value, xf. And this right here is the distance between each value, delta x. So we're going to see that we're not going to go an entire 50 spaces twice, right? we'll start at 2, and we'll go to 52, and then, right? We'll see. Eventually, we're gonna run out of room. I believe that's right. Or am I thinking colon operator?
I think
That's the colon operator. Yeah. So 86. That we'll have 50 linearly spaced values from 2 to 100. There we go. So there's only going to be 50 values in this matrix, and they'll start at 2, and they'll end at 100, and it'll find some similar point distance.
It doesn't have to end at 100. It only ends at the value below.
Let's find out.
Because this one will, because 50 values end at 100. But if you put like,
I got MATLAB right here. Hang on.
but if you put 33 or something, it's not inclusive on the upper limit. It ends at the value below the upper limit unless the linear spaced value is exactly
Hang
on
on.
it.
Hang on. We got this. Where is it at? Come on, open it up. Ooh, look at that. It started at 2 and went up to 100 by values of 50. So yeah, so this is n. This is how many values we'll have. Okay, so that's n. And then this is our starting value and our final value, and then MATLAB will determine how big that space is in between each of those values is. Which, unlike colon operator, where if we take some brackets and we put 5 colon 20 colon 110. What does this tell us? What's this do?
So they'll just go 5 to 110 by 20?
Yeah, and then here we don't have a guarantee that we'll hit 110 or not, right? So this will be our starting value. So this is our x initial. This is our delta x. And this is our x final, maybe, right? So we'll get 5, 25, 45, 65, 85, and 105 in that matrix. We'll never hit 110. And the reasoning behind that is the fact that we want a distance of 20 units between each number and with the colon operator. So the colon operator is going to tell us the distance between each number, essentially. Now, we're not going to have enough room because our next value here is going to be 125. But we told MATLAB, hey, stop at 110. Don't go past 110. So MATLAB won't. It'll say, all right, well, 105 is your cutoff then, dude. So that's what we'll get if we run that code.
So Linspace would just tell you how many values would be?
Yes, Linspace, so that's a good thing, right? So Linspace is going to tell you how many values you get. Colon operator is going to tell you the distance between each value. So
would the colon operator, it'll create a matrix, right?
yeah, both will.
Oh, both will?
Both will. So, because I mean, this is going to create 50 values, right? So it's going to have to be a matrix. And we just saw here that these are the values. So this is a matrix too. So both create a matrix. So if you get asked a question, like create a table of linearly spaced values ranging from 100 Kelvin to 500 Kelvin by increments of 25 Kelvin, what are you going to use? Colon operator or Linspace?
Yeah.
Create a table of linearly spaced values ranging from 100 to 500.
Linspace.
Yeah,
Silly.
Linspace. Yeah. So it sounds confusing, but you could use Linspace for that. You want 25 values from 100 to 500. Now, if I wanted values, if it said create a matrix of values incremented or with increments of 25. If you hear the word increments or spaced out by, then the colon operator is your go-to. But more often than not, if you're going to have to use Linspace, it'll say somewhere in there linearly spaced. And that's your big buzzword. Yeah, what's up?
So for questions like that, would you have to assign it to variable, or is it just asking you which one you use?
You don't have to assign it to a variable. Our default here is going to say that this is ANS. This matrix is ANS, that matrix is ANS. I, however, would recommend assigning it to a variable. Right? Call one X, call one Y, and go from there. Yes?
Do you think he's ever going to ask a question where like the last value in Linspace is 1?
I mean, I can find out real quick, see if he's ever asked it before. So you guys know, like I said, last semester's exam is on Learn. Something worth looking at. Let's take a look. Nope, he didn't ask that last year, so these exams don't really change too much. Like if you went home and did that exam, you'd be good. Yeah, you could probably do the next. You could probably do your exam Wednesday and be like, I saw this question before. You probably did. All right. Well, no more questions about Linspace or colon operator. We're good. All right, we'll drop them. Next up is indexing. This is a whole different ball game in and of itself. This is a big part of the exam too. I think indexing makes up 45% of the questions that get asked, at least on last year's exam or last semester's. So let's make a matrix. Let's call this matrix A, and it's going to have. We'll put it in matrix view form, so it's already been entered into MATLAB. All right. So first off, what's the size of this matrix?
4 by 4.
Yeah, I guess I could have put in an extra row or column and made it a little harder. But yeah, it's a 4 by 4 matrix. Oh, batteries are in low. Give me a sec. Uh-oh. There we go. Yeah, so where was I going? How do positions get counted in a matrix? Yeah, pretty much. By columns, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. We'll have 16 here, right? Any questions about that? No, pretty straightforward, I hope, right? Let me turn up the brightness on this. Okay. All right, so there's a number of things we can do with matrices when we're indexing. We can replace values. We can replace rows. We can replace columns. We can pull out rows, pull out columns, add rows, add columns, add matrices into it. So add rows and columns at the same time. We can call out individual values, either by their location or by their intersection based on a row or column call. There's a lot of different ways we can index and change indices within a matrix. So let's go with one thing at a time, I guess, right? So let's say I say A of 8. What's A of 8 going to give me?
9.
Yeah, right? So
A equals 9.
it'll be right here, right? So then our answer is going to be A and S equals 9, because I didn't assign it to a variable, right? Now let's say I say X equals A of 2 colon, let's do 2 comma 3 colon N. First off, what is this going to do? What's this command do?
It's 2 rows, 2 and 3.
Rows 2, columns 3 through the last column.
Yeah, there we go. So this right here only calls out a particular column, right? This gives you a value, like a matrix of rows, essentially, or a matrix of columns, right? So this only call out my second row because I only call row 2. This calls columns 3 to N. So columns 3 and 4 in our case, right? So what values am I going to get then? What is X going to be equal to? If I'm calling out row 2,
21 and 2.
yeah, right? And then column 3 and 4. So my X is going to be 21 and 2. All right. let's say I said y is going to be equal to 1 comma 4, or yeah, and we'll put this in parentheses, comma 2 comma 3.
So is this
What's this do first off?
it's giving like intersections, right?
Yeah, but how? How so?
Rows and columns.
Yeah, rows and columns for
Right.
sure. We're intersecting, but which ones?
1 and 4 of the columns.
Of the rows, right? Rows first,
Yeah, rows.
columns next.
Right, it wants row 1 and 4.
What's up?
Would that come up as an error, cause you didn't put A in front, so does it know to find it from?
Good, good,
Yeah.
good catch. Yeah, so you make sure you have that matrix call up in front first, because this was a question on the last exam. You would get an error, not rows and columns. All right, so now that I have my A out in front, what's it going to do? What do I get?
Both rows
You'll
1
get 4,
and
3,
4.
9, 11.
4, 3, 9, and 11. Okay, so let's drop this red line and let's see if we can figure that out. So yeah, so we're looking at rows 1 and 4. So we're here and here. And then we're looking at columns 2 and 3. So here and here. So 3, 4, 9, and 11. Yep. Looks right to me. So Y is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix, right?
Would it spit it out in order, or would it put 4, 9, 3, 11?
That's a good question. Let's take a look. I'm never 100% sure on how it prints it out, but I'm pretty sure it's going to say 4, 9, 3. Yeah, 4, 9, 3, and 11. So let's make this matrix real quick. Does anybody have this matrix made in MATLAB already? Can you test that? Test Y for me? Tell me what the value comes out as.
I have an error.
An error, Y, what's it say?
Invalid expression, use parentheses.
You use brackets instead? I see. Oh, it's Alright, sorry you guys, use brackets, not parentheses.
Brackets are around that.
Yeah, brackets here.
So that's
There we go. Alright, so what's Y going to be?
4, 3, 9, 11.
Like this right here?
Yes.
Alright, so it spits it out exactly how it's formatted up here in A then. Yeah, right, so 4, 3, 9, 11.
So you always have to, if you're like telling it something about rows or something about columns, it's always gonna have to be inside the brackets if you want to do.
It appears that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Alright, so that's... Are we all comfortable on calling out information?
Can you explain why
Yeah, so we're assigning this to a variable, so we get a matrix Y here first off, okay? Then we're calling from matrix A, so we're going to put that out in front and open it up with parentheses because it's a command. And then from there, we put these in brackets because this is our set of that we're calling. So we're calling row 1 and row 4, and we separate it by a comma right here. And then we're calling columns 2 and columns 3. Okay? Any other questions on how that syntax works, or?
Why does it know how to like put the Y into a 2 by 2 rather than just like a 1 by 4? I don't understand.
Because when we call out these values, we're going to have 2 from a row and 2 from a column. It keeps their position the same.
Okay. It's just gonna mimic how you're pulling it, basically.
Yeah, even if we call that like 5, 7, 22, and 18, we get 5 here, 7 here, 22 here, and 18
Right.
there.
Okay.
Yeah. And if we called out like all of row 1, we get a row matrix. If we called out all of column 1, we should probably get a column vector.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. Then we'll drop this. Let's continue using matrix A, and we'll do some changing of values, and then we'll see how we can add other matrices into it.
And if you just put the colon between where the comma is in the brackets, that just says through, right?
What? What's up?
Like if you said why.
Like here?
Yeah, that's gonna pull rows 1 through 4, columns 2 through 3.
Yeah, 100%.
All those values.
Yep. Okay, so let's say I say the following command. I say A of 12 equals 0. A of 12 equals 0. What's this going to do?
It's gonna replace the 12th value of matrix A to 0.
Yep. So you count them down, 4, 8, 12. So now this is a 0 here. Right? Let's say, I'm not going to rewrite all of this, but let's say A of equals 0. What does that do? A of 2 colons.
Everything.
All of them are 0, right? Every single value in that matrix would be 0. Now let's say I do this. I have this. What does this do?
That's the same thing. It's all of the values.
Okay, but what does it do? It does something. It does something we haven't talked about yet.
If you like put that in, A.
Yeah, if you do A of colon, and you already have a matrix A that exists.
Just repeat this, gonna repeat A again, isn't it?
No, it's
it gives you A in one column.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, exactly. This makes it a column vector. And so then if I do this, got a row vector, right? Right? Cool. Are we all comfortable with transpositions?
Yeah.
Rows go to columns, columns go to rows, right? Hopefully straightforward. If you're ever confused about it, write it out. Write it out and do it yourself by hand. You'll be good. All right.
Does that need to be a bracket?
No, it didn't have to be a bracket when we were just doing 1 row and 1 column, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what's this do?
Because you're gonna replace the first row and second column position with 69.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it'll do. So it'll take row 1 and column 2, and at that intersect, it'll be replaced with 69. So if we take row 1 and column 2, this right here is going to be 69. All right. What else could we do? Do we have any questions about replacing values? I mean, like, I guess we could do this one, right? So let's say A, what does this one do? A colon comma 3.
It's gonna replace the third
value of each row.
No, all
Yeah,
the way.
yeah, that's right.
It's the third
You could say it a
column.
different way. Yeah, it'd be the third column by 24, right? So then
all
all
the
these
values.
all these values become 24. All right. Do we have any questions about this? No? Are we all comfortable with replacing values now? Is there anybody who's like, hold the phone, I still don't get it? No? Okay, cool. Then let's move on from replacing values in matrices. let's say, let me make sure I don't go off. Okay, cool. Let's say I have a matrix B here, and it's going to be equal to 3, 1, 7, 6, 4, 2, 9, 22, 7, 8, 5, 3, 6, 9, 4, 0. All right, now let's say I make a matrix C equals B comma A. So I have two matrices, A and B, and I say C is going to be equal to B comma A. What does that do?
Is it gonna make a matrix that's called C where all the rows are, I don't know, does it stacks them somehow?
Not stacks, yeah.
You can't tell if that's like a 3x4 matrix.
Oh, yeah, sorry. B is a 4x4 matrix. These both are 4x4 matrices on purpose.
So it's gonna place them side by side.
Yeah. So B is going to sit right next to A, right? In that order. So it's going to be, if you read row 1, you're going to get 3, 1, 7, 6, 5, 69, 24, 7. That's row 1 right there. Okay? All it does is sit them right next to each other. And that's because we have the same number of rows. It'll only do that if the number of rows are the same. If not, you're going to get an error called horscat, which means that there was a horizontal concatenation error. That the number of rows were not the same, so you couldn't do that. Because then we'd have a blank area with no data. And MATLAB wouldn't like that.
So they could have different amounts of columns, but just rows have to be the same.
With this one, if we said B comma A, they could have different columns. Yeah, right? We could have like a 4 row by 3 column and a 4 row by 4 column, and then we'd have like a 4 row by 7 column. Right? That'd still be okay because our rows are still the same when you sit them right next to each other. Let's say we still have a 4x4 matrix and we change this colon, or this comma, to a semicolon. What now? What happens? Right? Yeah, B is going to sit above A, right? And for that one, what's our limiting factor, you guys? What has to be the same?
Column.
100%. Yeah. Columns are going to have to be the same in this instance. If they're not, it's not going to work, right? That's combining matrices. If you wanted, let's say we had a question, and it's like, you have two matrices, A and B, both 4x4. I want to make a matrix C that contains the second and third columns of A and the third and fourth columns of B. Well, what do I do?
Repeat it again?
All right, so I have A and B, 4x4. I want to make a new matrix called C, right? And I want to take the second and third columns of B and put them with the third and fourth columns of A. What do I write?
So what are they?
Huh?
With the
So from here,
yeah, what do you point them on the side?
yeah, from A, I want third and fourth columns.
Third and fourth columns.
And from B, I'm going to want my second and third columns. And I want both of those to go into C. What's my commands, you guys? What am I going to put in these brackets to make that happen?
Is it going to be like C equals B first? Do you have to put B before the bracket?
No. No, because we're making a set of these numbers. So you need that bracket first.
C equals bracket, then B parentheses, comma, or colon, comma 3.
Two.
Two, 3.
Okay.
And then you just put the same thing but with A.
A, right? So then we'll open up parentheses, put a colon, do comma, open brackets, 3, 4, close our brackets, close our parentheses, and close our bracket.
So they need to put the brackets?
Yeah, right, because we're calling, in our column data, we're calling multiple sets. We're calling multiple sets. So that's one way you can write that. Probably the best way, I think. right? So this is telling us, hey, we're going to call all rows, which is what we want, right? We want all these rows, and we want our second and third columns. So we're going to get this.
Do you have to put the little brackets, the 2 during the little brackets rather than like parentheses, just because?
Yeah, we just found that out. She was having an error.
Yeah, I've had trouble with that on certain programs. Is it just that MATLAB gets confused because I've tried to put that in like dual parentheses and it just won't fit into it.
Yeah, brackets are the way to go.
It has to like does it have to like kind of alternate? Is that what's happening?
I mean, that's the pattern it appears to be. I don't know if you have to necessarily call it an alternation.
I put in
That makes sense.
example without the brackets, right? So I just had colon, comma, 3, colon, 4, for example, and I still got the same answer as we did.
Well, yeah, that's because the way you're calling it is you're not calling different values, you're calling a range of values. And if you call different values, like I'm sure if you put 3, 4 right now instead of that colon, you might get an error.
So when you have a comma, it'd be recommended to use the brackets, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So comma brackets. Cool.
All right.
What comma back? I'm confused, but I wanna.
He was just saying that he didn't use a comma here, he had a colon. And so because of that, he didn't have brackets, and it was okay. Because he wasn't calling sets of values. He wasn't calling different value locations. He was just calling a range of information.
Right, that's like, that's
So it's a different syntax altogether.
columns 3, 2, 4.
Yes. Instead of columns 3, columns 4. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions about indexing? That was the last thing I had. Yeah. What I would do, so if you have B here, right, and you want to take off, what, row 4 and column 4 perhaps, what you're going to want to do is just rename it. Let's just recall it B, and we're going to say that B is now going to be rows, what, 1 to 3? Let's go ahead and put a colon here, and then we don't need these. And then columns 1 to 3. So you can't necessarily delete per se a column, but you can definitely reassign values to a different matrix without. So now we've only indexed like 317, 429, and 785. So effectively, we've deleted row 4 and column 4.
Can you, for us, draw on the board matrix C after this? Just like I can see it.
Yeah. So the new matrix C is going to be.
I understand like what it looks like, and
1,
not just
7,
what I'm
2,
doing.
9, 8, 5, 9, 4 with 24, 7, 24, 2, 24, 13, and 24, 18. 24 out of 22. So that's matrix C that we created earlier.
So yeah, this one, all the rows.
Yeah, because notice we just put a comma, so it's going to set these right next to each other, right? So here's B 2 to 3 to the left of this marker, and here's A 3 to 4 to the right of the marker.
Columns 3 and 4, all the rows, and all the rows 2 and 3. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
That doesn't work. It says
Does it say that you have a parenthetical error or what?
I think you have to do B equals B and then parentheses, right?
Oh, yeah, I didn't even put my assignment. Good catch. So yeah, say B equals B of this. There we go. All right, that should give you your right answer. Yes?
So if you wanted to add a row, you would use a comma, and if you wanted to add a column, you use a.
Yeah, that's a good way to think of it. Or wait, no, that's not a good way. If you want to add columns, you use a comma. If you want to add rows, you use semicolons, right? Because it'll throw it to the next thing. All right. Any other questions about indexing and matrix data manipulation?
Could you go to like an example of if you wanted to like add like a row between, let's say, like 2 and 3 to A?
So if I wanted to add a row between columns 2 and 3 and A. Okay.
Or like a row between the rows 2 and 3.
Yeah. Okay. So that's hard. That's gonna be some coding right there for sure.
Will we be asked that or?
nothing that difficult. I hope, but it's definitely doable. So what you have to do in this instance is break down this matrix, break it apart. So let's say we want to add something right into here, right? Let's say we have a value called as D, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So then what you're gonna want to do is make a matrix. Maybe call it A. And you're going to say it's going to be A of rows 1 to 2. So 1 colon 2, and then all columns, right? And then let's see. Probably want to do syntax. Yeah. So I'm going to want to drop a bracket here. Then I'm going to want to put in a colon or a semicolon, and then say A. Let's say D. All rows, all columns. And another semicolon, and then A, yeah. And you'll say 3 to 4, all columns. Close your brackets.
Oh, so right there you added D into the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now D is going to be right here, right? And so E is going to be a 5-row by 4-column matrix with D inside of it.
So what he said earlier, commas separate rows from columns and semicolons are separating
So
makes new row.
yeah, this allows us to add new rows. Commas allow us to expand our columns. Alright. Let's move on from indexing, all right? All right, we pretty much beat the horse in the ground at this point.
That's like the majority thing, right? Like
Yeah, you're not going to see anything different than what we've done now.
yeah, you can.
Yeah, we've touched on everything
What if we-
indexing.
What if we do see something
I don't know your SOL.
What if
What if Steve's like, give me matrix D, but set matrix D on fire? I don't know, Steve. All right, there we go. Take care of that too. All right, F print F. I was really avoiding this on purpose. Let me pull up the syntax.
That's why I was like, can you write it like out so I can see it? Because I guess it's pulling these two columns. Yeah. I know these two.
So yeah, how do you guys do F print F on the exam?
Yeah, these two. I put them in rows though. Is that what it was? 1 second. 1 second. Well then, A, 3, 4, all
Just
rows.
put it out exactly how it works.
Well, I mean, there's no F print F questions
Yeah,
on here.
exactly.
Yeah, we can do zero, right?
Only because there's nothing separated these two things. If there was like a semicolon there, it's gonna make this be, it's gonna drop this below.
What if you create a bit?
Cause like it would make a new row. So we create a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm pretty sure. If you add a semicolon there. I don't know. See, that's what it's like. Like sometimes because I just look at it and I'm like, I don't know. And then you start throwing transposes and then I'm just like, really? Like, I'm lost. Like I could read it verbally out. But I'm not gonna. Don't I need it? I don't need it. Why is it? I'm with it.
Alright, so F print F allows us to print variable data. Let's see.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, have a good one, go. Alright, so we got this far. Let me open up MATLAB real quick. Yeah, I know. You guys have talked about F print F in class too? Shoot. Has not been in lab for my sections. Oh, that's, oh. It was
That
Mark.
never be just reset
I'm
it.
sorry, you guys.
That guy, I have trouble following him.
Hmm?
That means it happened on the test, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't on the last 2 years' exams, so.
Yeah, he like brought it up.
Or he like had it, he's like.
Oh, yeah.
Why are we doing this? All right, so F print F won't be on the test. Yeah, because like I haven't been told to teach it yet. Huh?
Can you guarantee that?
Did he say that?
I mean, if it is, I'll just go in and change everybody's grade by like X amount of points. Like I have access to everybody's grades. We'll figure something out.
Mark, that guy is really super fucking.
All right, so I think
Because he said that.
tentatively, before I've actually reviewed this,
He's like,
you're gonna say the values are comma x comma or backslash n percent f 0.06, I believe. This might be wrong. Actually, this is wrong. Ooh, all right. I haven't done this in a while, you guys. So yeah, you're gonna have to have some variable. That variable's gonna like be what gets f printed f in. So f print f allows you to print both strings and integers kind of at the same time, where display allows you to print strings for the most part, right? Strings are just just letters. Integers are numbers. So this is going to tell us, the .6f is going to tell us how many decimals we're going to have attached to x. It allows us to edit our accuracy. So this tells us we'll have 6 decimal places away. So it'll be like 100.000000, okay? And then /n just means that for however many values we have, let's say we have 100 x's, the /n means now we're going to have 100 lines. So this /n just means new line. If you type in help, f print f, the help command is one of my favorite commands in MATLAB, by the way, you guys. If you do that, it tells you what it does and how it happens.
So basically it's displaying like what you're telling it verbally to display along with integer values.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. So I'm not going to dive into this since it's not on the exam, and since I personally haven't reviewed this to teach to my sections yet, and I don't want to tell you guys a ton of wrong stuff, because I'm not 100% sure on this, because I haven't used it since the last time I taught it. Because I just display, or I don't print it. I just let the values get thrown into my command string.
Was that what it wanted on like the end of the third assignment when it was asking to display all decimals? Like I just format long. I didn't know.
No, format long is right.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't f print f.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the kind of thing.
And I can double check that too.
I assume it's format long.
Yeah.
Steve emailed me back and said format short at the end, but I knew that can't be right.
Yeah, that's still nice.
So I was just like, I just still formatted long
Yeah, that works.
both times. Well, I
Alright,
formatted long
cool.
at the beginning to see my variables.
So we'll 86 this from our list. Let's talk about max and min real quick, you guys. We are at 1706, so let's, we're almost done. That's awesome. Gil left and we didn't even really talk about dot operator. I'll have to email him some info on that. I work with him over on the Air Force Base, so he's a good guy. So let's talk about max and min. So what does max and min inherently do? What's its purpose?
It returns like the maximum of rows or columns or something.
Maximum of columns. Yeah, that's right. So if I had a 4x4, I would have 4 max or 4 mins, depending on what command I did, 1 for each column. That's true.
And then the loc will give you the location.
Right? So you don't always, like, you can always say A equals max of, let's say we have some matrix called B. I don't know how many sizes it is. It's kind of irrelevant for this purpose. So this will just give you the maximum value of B, right? Cool, we got that. Or max values of B per row, right? But let's say you wanted to know where this was, right? Then you would say val comma loc. Now, I call this val comma loc. You can call this whatever you want. You know, you can call this like pineapple pizza or Steve's bald. Like, you got options here. It doesn't matter. But the important thing to always remember is that when you get a matrix of values back from this syntax, your first value, or your first item in said matrix is the value. It's the maximum or the minimum, depending on whatever one you decided to call, right? And the second value is your location. And we talked about how you count a location in a matrix, right? You go down that column, right? So if you see block, comma, val, this is backwards. Steve's just trying to mess with you. This is going to be your value, and this is your location. Your first value, this first thing right here is always the value of your max or your minimum, depending on what you call. And this one is always the location, the placement of said max or said min. Are we good on that?
I'm slightly confused. The max pulls the biggest, the largest value within the rows of matrix B.
Say that one more time. I was not listening.
The max pulls the largest value within the rows of matrix B.
Column. Pulls out
okay, so
from
it's
the
gonna
column.
pull out just
So
one value or each column?
Each column.
Each
So
column.
let's say I have this matrix right
For a
here.
column.
Right? This matrix.
Yeah, 3, 1, 7, 6, 4, 2, 9. So it's just gonna pull out like the biggest number in each column.
Yeah, right. So if I say max of B, I'm gonna get 7, 9, 9, and 13.
Okay.
Right? Those are the maxes. And then if I ask for the location 2, next up I'm gonna get 3, 4, 7, 6. So I'm gonna get 3, 4, 2, and 2. And that's the locations in that row. Or in that column, in that column, in that column.
Oh, okay, yeah. So like it's the third location of the first column, fourth location of the second column.
Second location of the third, second
Right.
location of the fourth.
And how does it display it? Like, will it just display it
Like that,
Just
yeah.
exactly like that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Thank you.
Are we good on max and min and lock?
So the location, it'll say,
Did it say the entire location, not its index location? Like, did it say 7 instead of 4? Like, what's up? Did you run it?
I ran it, but on our matrix A.
Oh, okay. No one's moving. Okay, so what
But
you
I
get?
mean, so the location just says 4, 2, 2, 4. So that means
Yeah.
the
So
board, the last one of column A.
yeah,
The second of column 2. The second. Okay.
yeah, correct.
Okay. So
Yep.
it counts down on the column.
Yeah, it counts down each column and gives you that location in that column, not overall in your matrix.
Does min also work by column?
Yes.
Okay.
Max and min are co-functions.
I think I'm missing. How do I get the location? Like I got the max values, but how do I get the location? Do I have to put in? Just
Val, comma, lock,
Okay.
or Taco Tuesday, or Pineapple Pizza.
Like dot comma lock, that's like a...
That's the placeholder I think is best, right? It's really self-explanatory on what each position does, right? Val, it gives you the value. Lock
Right.
gives you location.
Okay, yeah, because max would be just prints out that.
It would just print out
if
7,
you make
9.
a matrix of it, it's gonna give you that inside. That's what you're doing. You make that good. Okay.
Yeah.
You're basically making a matrix.
Yep. Pretty much. All right. Last thing on our list, dot operator. So whenever you multiply two matrices together, dot operator is your go-to. They should have the same interior dimensions. So interior dimensions agree. So 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 7, 7, 7. You know what I mean? Pretty straightforward, I would hope. Whenever you divide a scalar by a matrix, so let's say you're dividing 5 by b, gotta have a dot operator there too, because this is you have to tell MATLAB that you're dividing 5 by b, and MATLAB's gonna go, but okay, so you want me to divide 5 by all these different values at the same time? MATLAB's not gonna know what to do. So this dot operator tells MATLAB, hey, go ahead and do it like linearly. Go ahead and do it term by term. And so then MATLAB's like, okay, I can do that now. So now it's gonna do 5 divided by 3, 5 divided by 1, 5 divided by 7, 5 divided by 6. So we would get some new matrix of 5 divided by b. That's what that does essentially.
So is it the same if you multiply a scalar?
If we do 5 times b, no, right? Because you're just multiplying you're multiplying b by a factor of 5. So every value in b gets multiplied by a factor of 5.
So Reno was saying that you can just put the dot anywhere and it won't change it. Like
Mark?
yeah, that it like doesn't come back to it, I think is what he
I
said.
mean,
That's not entirely true. If you had a matrix that was like a 3x4 and a 4x3 and you tried to multiply without the dot operator, one would give you a different size matrix and one would give you a matrix multiplied by each value.
yeah. Well, one does matrix multiplication and the other does
Exactly.
this multiplication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One does matrix multiplication, one does value
I don't know why he
multiplication,
says
and
that.
they're 2 different things. So don't let that mislead you. Mark's sometimes right, but not always
I
right.
think he just means like for this class, you're never going to encounter matrix math
That's
inside
not.
of this.
That's also not true. You
I know.
100% will. We already did. You guys should have experienced that already.
I don't know why he says that.
It was on a quiz, I think.
Yeah,
So.
I don't know why he says that.
I don't know.
I don't know why he says that.
Yeah, he's gonna take over my section 9, I guess. Okay.
What time is your 11? Monday's at 10?
Yeah. No. Section 1. My primary section is Mondays at 11. All right. Any other questions? Anything I missed? Anything you guys feel uncomfortable about? Any questions, comments, concerns about the exam on 26 September? Yes.
Just ones and zeros.
Oh.
Is that a question?
Probably not. I haven't seen it. Wasn't on my exams when I took this class. It's just going to create a matrix of 1s and a matrix of 0s. Same syntax as random for the most part. Any other yes?
Can you do random with integers? Just with
What's
random
up?
with integers?
Hmm.
Like no decimals, just like whole numbers?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to do that, I would think, is to either floor or seal, like rand, or even just round. The round command works too.
Isn't that like that's like what we did in that second
Yeah,
assignment?
this is like the second assignment, right?
Kind
So
of.
this is going to give me whole numbers that are either 0 or 1, right? Well, actually,
Well, no,
they're either 0 or 1 because it's rounding.
Yeah.
So if they're not above 0.5, they go to 0, right? So we'll get a 4x4 matrix of 1s and 0s.
Yeah.
Okay? And then you can change that factor by multiplying by 5 or dividing by some number, adding or subtracting by some number. Right? Any other questions about anything? Yes.
Plot function?
I'm sorry?
Plot.
Oh yeah, okay. I don't, will that be on? It might be on your exam. So yeah, so we have the plot command. The plot command relies on 2 different things.
I don't know.
An independent and dependent variable, commonly referred to as x and y. So you need some matrix of values. You need a matrix x and a matrix y. Usually they're row vectors. And they have to be the same size. So they have to have the same number of items in it. So if x has 20, y has to have 20, vice versa, right? Otherwise we're going to have empty holes in our graph when we try and plot, and you'll get an error. This is the most complex thing you'll probably have to do when it comes to plot. Steve on the exam is not going to say, give me a plot of x and y with like red like dashes, right? You're not going to get something like that. I don't know. I don't think plot's going to be on the exam. That's more leaning towards chapter 5 stuff. And this exam's only chapters 2 through 4. On exam 2, it'll be there for sure, 100%. It's usually the first question on the test. But apart from that, just remember you need an x and a y, a and a b, 2 variables that have the same number of values in them. Okay?
When you took this course, what letter grade did you get on the first exam? Did you get an A?
I got 102 on it, yeah.
100?
Yeah, there's extra credit on it usually. So
you can ace, it's aceable.
yeah. And one thing to keep in mind, you guys, if you don't kill this first exam, do not drop the course, right? If you're in section 1 or section 9, if you turn in everything, you pass this class. Like, I don't let you not pass this class if you're in my sections. And most of the TAs are like that. As long as you've made the effort and you've turned in everything, you'll pass the class. Maybe you'll get a B, maybe you'll get an A. But these exams are worth like what, maybe 20 or 30% of your grade overall? Like, they're not worth a lot.
I think each one's 15%.
Yeah, okay, so cumulatively, these exams are 30% of your grade. I'm taking a class where like my exams are 70% of my grade right now, right? So get your assignments in and get your quizzes in, and you'll be okay. Like,
assignments are like 40%, each one's like 5%.
yeah, so assignments are pretty hefty. Do not have a 0 on those, okay? Do we have any other questions about anything? No? All right, thanks for coming, you guys. Thanks for your time and your patience. Have a good weekend. If you do have any questions, email me. I'll be running the class on Friday. We do have a quiz. I will see you then. Have a good one, you guys.
Thank you, Rowdy.
Yeah.